Hey guys, it's me, Cali. Anyone who knows me knows how much I love my beads, and we've already made boho straw beads and garbage bag beads, and today I'm going to show you how I make my paper beads. This was actually a requested video, and I know there are a ton of videos already on YouTube, so here's one more, and I hope you guys will stick around, and I would love to show you how I did this. Super simple, really easy craft, great for summertime and the kids. And I had a blast. So I think you will too, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay guys, so let's talk about what we're going to use. Now, the first thing you're going to need is some kind of paper to roll a bead with. I've used everything from plain copy paper that I've painted with my grandkids, scrapbooking paper, music paper, yellow pages, copy paper with just acrylic ink sprays. You can embellish with markers or paint. These are old calendar pages. This is a really cool plasticky paper that I made with my boho gypsy lantern video. If you're interested in seeing how I did that, I'll link it below. You could use grocery bags. Let your imagination be your guide. So some kind of paper, and then we're going to need something to measure with. Now, some people like to cut their paper with a actual paper cutter. I am such a seamstress at heart that I am very comfortable with my rotary cutter and cutting mat. Okay, none of these are absolutely necessary. Use what you have on hand. If you don't have anything like that, you can just use a ruler and a pair of scissors. You could even use another piece of paper as a guide. This is basically for measuring out the strips that we're going to cut for our beads. So the next thing you're going to need is some kind of adhesive. Now, anyone who knows me knows how much I love my Alene's clear tacky glue, and that's what I'm going to use today. But you could use a glue stick, DecoPodge, I swear by this stuff, by Americana. I also have some Mod Podge by Plaid. Some kind of adhesive. You could use hot glue, Elmer's glue, anything like that. And then the next thing we're going to need is something to actually wind our bead on. Now, I've used everything from little skewers to a knitting needle, the end of a paintbrush, which is my preferred method, a pencil, some type of round object that you can roll your bead on. And then I improvised and made my own little drying rack. You can come up with your own ideas, but this was actually inspired by Darlene Michaud, and I'll put her channel link below also. This is a old food container and some craft foam at the bottom, and I've just kind of duct taped it and put all these little skewers in. Now, this is not really pretty, but it does the job, and I can roll my beads and put them on here to dry. And so something like that. You could even use one of the skewers to hang them on, or a piece of wire. You just want something to set them on while the glue is drying. So that, and then you're going to, if you choose, you can embellish your beads after you've rolled them. And I've used Sharpie markers, acrylic paint. I love my DecoArt media misters. I've used glitter nail polish from the dollar store. I've sanded my beads with an emery board for some interesting effects, and I'll show you these things. So if you choose to further embellish them on top of the colors, those are some ideas that you could use. And then after you have them all ready to go, if you choose, put on a good pair of gloves because we're going to be glazing. And my favorite thing this week to use is this DecoArt Traditions. This is a multi-surface sealer, very similar to, again, Mod Podge or DecoPodge, and you could use either one of these. They work very well as a sealer as well. Some people like to dip their beads in triple thick gloss and let them dry. I'm just basically getting started with this. I'm kind of a newbie, so I'm keeping it simple. I've used clear nail polish before, again from the dollar store. That makes a great glaze. And also, if you want, or you have a lot to do all at the same time, I have these Americana sealers, one in gloss and one in matte. And people usually recommend more than one coat of glaze. Also, I have an old brush to apply my glaze. And again, with a drying rack, and I've improvised this. This is a glass bread pan, and I have it lined with aluminum foil. And I have the skewers, and when my beads have been glazed, I'm just going to suspend them over this and let them dry that way. So that's what we're going to be using today, and I'll be right back, and we're going to do a 2-bead and a tapered bead, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, let's make a 2-bead. I'm showing you on white copy paper because it's easier for you to see. But I've made measurements at the bottom here. These are 1 inch. You could do whatever size you'd like. And these lines here are cutting lines. Now, obviously, this is going to be pattern paper or not. You can embellish your bead after you're done cutting them out, however you want to do it. 2 beads don't have to have the whole of the paper covered, because when you roll them up, only the bottom part is going to show. So you can, make good use of blank paper and just a little bit at the bottom here, however you choose to do it. Like I said, you can use your paper cutter if you'd like. I love to use my rotary cutter and my cutting mat. I'm just a creature of habit. So however you want to cut your strips out, you could have your kids use safety scissors. Obviously be careful, you don't want anyone getting hurt. And we're just going to cut out 1-inch strips of paper here. Okay, and like I said, I did these, I have a few over here already. Here's the one with just at the bottom, all right? Now, once you have them cut out, you are going to roll them up. And I told you I like to use the end of a paintbrush. You can use whatever works for you, all right? I also will trim the top edges of the bead here just so they don't stick out once we've rolled it up. That's optional if you'd like. And I'm just going to turn our paper over. You want the design facing the bottom, and you can kind of curl your paper just like you would do a Christmas ribbon by holding your skewer against it and pulling it through to just kind of, you don't have to. And we're just going to start winding. Now, like I said, use the adhesive of your choice, but I'm going to put this against here, hold it with my thumb, hold this paper taut as I'm winding, and once you get the hang of it, it's super easy. But I'm just going to roll it, and once I've done a roll or two, and you don't want it so tight that you're not going to be able to get it off at the end, I'm going to come in with a little bit of my glue, and I keep that upside down so it doesn't, I don't have to mess with it trying to make it come out each time. And then we're just going to roll it, you guys. Same thing. I'm keeping it tight with my thumb, and I'm holding this taut with my other hand. You want to keep it together as you're rolling it. And once you get towards the end here, I'm going to break out the glue again and do a line. You don't need a lot. And roll it up. And if you get any glue on your fingers, and you will, just kind of keep rolling and incorporate that. It almost makes a little bit of a glaze. Okay? And then you're going to want to pop this off, and sometimes they want to give you a hard time. And and you can kind of mess with them. If this is sticking out, you can form it, okay? So there you have it, a basic tube bead. And then I have my improvised rack here, and we're just going to let that dry, okay? So there you have it. And once they're dry, and this is going to be the same, you know, whether or not it's a tube bead or not, then you're going to glaze it. So let me come back and I'll show you a tapered bead and we'll continue. Okay, so let's make a tapered bead now. And I've done the same thing. I've marked off my paper, this time in 1/2-inch increments. And what we're going to be doing is creating these triangles. So from the dots, you're going to go up to a point. Does that make sense? I'll show you with my ruler. From this 1/2 inch, I don't go straight up like I did with the tapered beads. I don't do this. I do this. Okay? And same thing. I go from here to here. And because this has a straight edge, we want it to be a diagonal edge. The first cut that you make is going to be a discard. So I'm going to line up my edge of the paper, or however you're doing it, and I'm going to take my big fat ruler again, and I'm just going to go to the first 1/2 inch mark. Oh, you can't see that. Hang on a second. I'm going to go from my first 1/2 inch mark here all the way to nothing at the top here. So I'm going to line it up at the 1/2 inch and then to nothing, and take my rotary cutter or whatever you're using and just cut, and we're going to discard that, okay? And then our next cut is going to be from that dot to this dot. That dot to this dot. I hope you could see that okay. So from nothing to the 1/2 inch dot at the top. Alright, once you get a little practice, and I've already cut out a couple, okay, I'll show you with this plasticky paper, just for example. Okay, so I line it up on the end. My first cut is going to be a discard. I'm going from a 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to come down to the nothing point. I'm going to discard it because it has a straight edge here. We want a diagonal. Save your scraps. And then this time I'm just turning it, and I'm going to go from nothing to 1/2 inch at the top. Okay? They don't have to be perfect, you guys. This is, you know, fun. Once you start doing these, it gets addictive. But same technique as far as the rolling goes, although you don't have to trim the edges. I can't really tell which side is which here. You can embellish these. I've gone in with my gold Sharpie marker and put, you know, just little dots or, you know, things like that. Have fun with it. All right, same thing. So now design side down, and I'm going to just take my paintbrush here, place this here with my thumb, and we're going to give it a good roll. Not too tight at first, but tight enough, and you'll get the hang of it. Roll it, a little dab of glue, not too much at all. And then just roll it on up, and this will naturally form a point at the center. You know, try to guide it a little bit the best you can. All right, get to the end, more glue. And use that glue to help as you twirl it around. Like I said, you're going to have messy fingers, but use it to help kind of glaze it along there. And you can see the gold paint on my finger. It wasn't quite dry. Gold finger. And same thing, we're going to just push this off. And look, this little piece came out. I'm not worried about that at all. All right. There you have it. Onto the drying rack it goes. All right, and you'll let these get nice and dry, and then we're gonna glaze them, and I'll be back when I get that ready. Okay, so we have our bead, and we're getting ready to glaze, and at this point, like I said, you can further embellish the bead if you'd like. You can use magic markers to make marks on them, spray them with your sprays, paint them with your paints. I really love to use, you know, holographic glitter nail polish for that galaxy effect. You can even, and I'll show you examples of all of these when we're done, you could even take an emery board, a nail file, and sand the bead, or use a Dremel if you'd like, to kind of make it uneven patches, and I'll show you examples of that too. So now's the time to do anything like that. You could do things after the glaze is dry, but rather seal it in. I have our little drying rack here and our skewers. I'm using my DecoArt Traditions. I have it in an old palette dish, and I'm just going to put our bead on a skewer. You could do it on the paintbrush that you used before. And there's many ways to do this. Some people who make these a lot sometimes dip their beads. They'll string them like on fishing line and actually dip them in gloss or glaze. I'm not making big batches, so I don't mind doing them individually, but you could roll them around in this if you want and kind of scoop them up on your skewer. I would rather try to keep the inside of the bead dry so it's not going to stick to my skewer, but you'll find your own way and, you know, experiment. So here we go. And if you don't have any gloss or glaze, you can mix water and glue, and you could make sure you put your gloves on, which I've forgotten to do here. I don't really care, but, you know, give a good coat of glaze. I know people who often do this do more than one coat. It's a good sealant. These are paper after all, but once this glaze goes on and dries, they just look beautiful, and it tends to fill in those little nooks and crannies at the ends, and it's really hard to tell that they're actually paper. So go around. It doesn't have to be perfect, and like I said, I've improvised a drying rack. Some people have really elaborate ones, and I'm just going to set them aside like this and let them dry. If you do, you know, stack them all together, make sure you leave a little room in between or they will stick, and, you know, but trials and tribulations, see what you get. I'm going to show you some examples of some that I've already done here that I just talked about. And these have all been glazed already, but these here were made out of the, and I haven't finished these up. Oh, and also, while I have it, I'll show you an example. These were the music note paper. Doesn't that look cool? Now, what you could do, you know, if you're going to be using these, I have a variety of different sizes of bead caps. You can get these cheaply at Walmart. All right, you can use those if you're going to be stringing these to put on the ends, things like that. Or if you really want to keep it simple, and I like to keep it simple, you can just use good old black Sharpie, and I like to just rim around the inside there, and I think it just gives it more of a polished feel. Okay, so play around with it, do whatever you want, and I would love to see what you guys have done. I'll show you some more examples. I'm making a mess here, but you get the idea. Okay, so those were the music notes. I also did some of the yellow pages, the telephone book pages that I was telling you about. Just really interesting effects. You're going to get excited and you're going to want to try, you know, a bunch. Here are some more that I embellished after they were rolled, and these were just, I think these were the calendar pages. And I mixed some blue acrylic paint in with the gloss glaze and painted that on, and then you can see some of them I covered with a one of those glitter nail polishes, and I used a silver Krylon pen on these ones with the silver, and this was that gold Sharpie marker just for, you know, different designs. Very meditative activity. There's some purple ones with gold. I told you about the ones that I sanded. These were made out of calendar page, and then I took them when they were done and just used that emery board very lightly. Look at this one. Okay, and I just all the way around, and you can smooth down the edges of the paper. You know, don't breathe it in, but I think those came out really cool looking. Okay, these are just examples. You know, I'd love to know if you guys do this. Have you tried anything like this? I also did experiment with doing some marbling in nail polish. I'll show you a couple of those. That got real messy. I was going to show that to you, but it's not something I'll be doing again. But all you do is take a small cup of water and put nail polish on the top of it. And I put these just regular calendar page beads on the end of a skewer, and I dipped them and tried to marble them. It wasn't worth the mess, and it didn't always work out, and because they're paper, the insides got wet, but anyway, I did try it, and it does look cool, but like I said, it's not something I'll be doing again anytime soon. These, again, are just random paper calendar pages, papers that I painted with my grandson. Here's some of those as well. These were just acrylic paints cut into strips. Great way to use old artwork when you run out of room on your refrigerator. Oh, here's another one of those sanded ones. They just look tie-dye, don't they? So, yeah, lots and lots of fun. And then my favorites, you guys, honestly, are these purple plastic paper ones. They just feel so cool, and look how glossy. And this is 2 coats of gloss, and some of them do have glitter polish on them from the nail polish, and then I went over it with the gloss. But I will be stringing some of these and hanging them in my window. Yeah, so what do you think, guys? I hope this was inspiring. If you were inspired, please give me a thumbs up. Tag me in anything you've created, or give me tips and hints what you guys like to do. Oh, also one thing I use when I'm trying to line up my beads to figure out how I want to, you know, hang them, are these old Scrabble racks. So, yeah, that's instead of using, you know, a bead rack. That's one other thing. Yeah, I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Sending you lots of peace and love. And yeah, happy beading. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Take care.